Hey guys, we're about to make a self-storage creative finance offer. We got the financials and we went over the underwriting in a previous video. If you didn't check it out, watch the video right here. So Joel did his job, he got the financials, we did the underwriting. Now we're about to make the call and call the seller and see if we can negotiate a seller finance deal on this potential $4 million self-storage facility. You ready to sell it right away? Like, what's your timeline?
I had almost decided to not sell it. Then I heard from Joel, and I thought, well, maybe I'll think about it. I'm not actively trying to sell, but for the right price, I might.
Gotcha. I completely understand that. I just sold one of my facilities, and we were offered the right price, and we moved forward with that sale. I never ever intended to sell any of my self-storage facilities, but the right price comes along, and it's a win-win. You might as well go for it.
Yeah. Yep.
I gotcha. And so for us, right now in this market, it's definitely a little bit more difficult with the interest rates, how they've risen, and they're about to rise again, to make a lot of these deals make a lot of sense. But for us, what we typically look for is like tremendous add value potential. And when I look at everything on your financials and the way you're running the facility, you're doing a great job. You're running it very good. I don't see where really I can add a lot of value to the property because you run it pretty impeccable. Would you agree?
Yeah, we try to keep our expenses down and keep the rents competitive, but not at the high end.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can never compete really with those big box stores and whatnot, but their property's really stabilized. It's ran great. I think you're competitive with the other people in the marketplace on rates, and you have high occupancy. So there's really, for me, not a ton of things that I can do to the property to increase its value. So in these types of situations where I can't make this facility double in value in 2 years, no matter what I do. For us, this is kind of like a stabilized deal, 100%. And so we buy these types of properties differently than we buy the properties where we can add a lot of value. And so kind of like what you're saying is hey, if I sell it for the right price, that's actually how we buy these types of deals. Is we typically say, hey, we can pay your price if you can give us the right terms for us that allow us to cash flow the property and create a win-win situation. So if you are open to something like that, then we can give you an offer at your price if the terms can allow us to cash flow and just operate the facility the same way you're operating it and make a little bit of return on the money we give you down and what we pay you each month.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Gotcha. So, for the right price for you, I know he gave me a price, but I just want to double check with you. What was the price that is the right price for you, that would make you want to sell it?
Probably right around 4.
That's what he told me. Okay. So I do have an offer together at $4 million. It's a lot different than the one you got that he told me you had previously at the 3.6. But these are the numbers that allow us to get in there, run it exactly kind of pretty much you're running it. I literally just ran it off your numbers. And all we look for on a return is for the money we're giving down, and the price we're paying is like an 8% cash on cash return. That's what we're typically looking for. And so on this type of property, I actually sold my property very similar NOI to yours, and I sold my property for around $2.8 million. Your property, obviously, you're asking for $4 million. Mine was in Florida. Yours is in. You probably ran it a little bit better than I did, because I had a little bit higher expense ratio, but essentially we had the same NOI, and I had a good location, you got a great location. Essentially, I would be paying $1.2 million more for your property than I sold my property for, with pretty much the same income. And so a lot of times what we tell sellers is, hey, the reason we can pay your price is because our terms. And for us, how we can structure the deal for this, I don't know if you have a pen. Do you have a pen by chance?
I do, yep. I'm writing.
So these are my initial numbers, and typically I have a little bit more deeper conversation before going right to the numbers for you. Do you have any immediate cash needs? Are you planning on traveling the world in a yacht, or paying off your house or anything like that? If you sold the property and got an initial down payment, any initial thoughts for that cash?
Yeah, you can always use cash.
For sure.
A couple of my kids are strapped, and I was going to help them pay their house down and one of my daughters, she owes a ton of money in credit cards, and so I was going to help her with that.
For sure. I would definitely pay down the credit cards before paying down the house. If they bought, if they had a mortgage anytime in the past 10 years where it was under, 5%, I'd probably keep that rate around because that's going to be hard to come by here in the future. But those credit cards, man, those will kill you. It's like 30% sometimes.
Boy, she's got a couple that are about 30, so.
Yeah, those are the ones that need to get paid off. So I completely understand that. So I'm just going to give you my initial numbers that I came up with based on the information provided to me. And again, this is just like a starting point. We are flexible. Like I said, we try to create win-win situations. So if you have a pen, so the purchase price was $4 million, with the down payment being $600,000, and then the balance being paid out at $10,296.07 per month.
Okay, and what interest rate?
To get the payment, because that's where we needed the payment to be to get that 8% return. So to make that work with that number, it would be a 40-year amortization at 2%.
Oh.
Now, what that's doing for you, though, is it is paying you a lot of interest up front. Obviously, you've seen an amortization chart before, and you're getting a lot of interest up front. So I know a lot of people, we've done a few deals at 2%, 3%, and the initial thought is, oh, that's a very low number. But we also feel that on our side, we're paying a premium for the price. We're almost paying you your interest up front. Instead of giving you a lower price, we're saying, hey, we're going to pay you a much higher price. It's almost like giving you that interest up front. So instead of it being on the interest payment, it's on the principal. Do you have any initial thoughts on if this would maybe fit for you?
I have, let's see, I don't know if that would help you. I've got an SBA loan that you could assume, and it's somewhere around 3.3%.
That'd be lovely. Yeah, then we can change up how we're doing this completely. A lot of different ways, actually. So on the SBA, do you know the balances on that?
Yeah, it's 580 about, and it's 20 years. I've had it for, I think, 4 or 5 years, and I think it's 3.3.
Do you know what your payments are each month on that?
Say $3,300.
Okay, and actually, I do see here on your income statement, your income and expense statement, that it has it says actually mortgage payment is $6,873. Would that be the mortgage payment solely for this property, that SBA loan, or is that adding another, like maybe your house or something else on there?
About half of it is on another loan on our other.
Another property. Gotcha.
That's also a good rate. They loaned me $2 million, and I wanted to refinance both of the properties, and they said, we just want to put it on one of them. You choose which one you want it on. And so I put it on the other one. Anyway, about $3,000 goes to pay part of what this loan would have been.
Gotcha. So in their eyes, is there a mortgage on this property and a mortgage on the other property?
No, it's just on the other one.
On the other one. So they might not let me do that one and separate it the same way they wouldn't let you separate it. They probably wouldn't let us.
Well, there's two. So actually, that $6,000 pays two different loans. It pays the one that I split myself.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it pays the SBA loan that I owe about $580,000 on.
Gotcha. Okay. And so
that would be the only one that we'd have to worry about.
Yeah, I gotcha. And so that in that case, there is a possibility of us being able to assume that loan. We would probably have to do things a little bit in a more unique fashion, and I have done this before, where because the SBA do a portion of seller finance essentially for me. Because on this case, if I pay you $600,000, what you're really going to have to do is pay off that mortgage, and you don't want to do that. You want to get that money in your pocket. So
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we could potentially do is we keep that, like we can assume the SBA loan, we give you money at closing, and then you hold a second, and we pay you interest on that money the same way, but we don't pay them off, we assume it.
Right, yeah, and that's what I was thinking.
Okay, and I would have to rework the numbers and just kind of make sure it makes sense, but if we were able to do something like that, would that be something that would potentially work for you?
That might, yeah.
Okay, great. Give me a day, and like let me just put this back into my formulas and underwriting and whatnot, and I can see what these numbers look like. And so again, the SBA loan was 580,000 with a payment of 3,300 bucks a month, roughly.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Okay. And there's no balloon payment on this SBA loan. Is it like due in 2 years or 5 years in full or anything like that?
I think this is a straight 20-year.
Perfect. Okay, great. So let me.
And the other problem that I have, why I don't want to particularly pay it off, well, I'd like you to assume it,
Yes.
because there's prepayment penalties.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, for sure.
If you assumed it, then we wouldn't have those.
Awesome. Okay, well, this is something I think we could potentially work out. Let me just put the numbers together. I can get back with you tomorrow, probably around the same time, if that works for you.
Okay, yep. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is a balloon payment.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to carry that for 40 years. I'd rather have a balloon payment in, some reasonable length of time.
What would be a reasonable time frame for you?
5 years would be great, but that might be too short for you.
Yeah, it's like in this market, kind of like with what's going on in the world right now, 5 years is kind of a little quick. If we could do something like 15, 12, maybe 10 at the least.
10 might work.
10 might work for you?
Somewhere between 5 and 10 would be better.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, let me see what that looks like. Give me a day, like I said. I really appreciate your time and your consideration. And I'll give you a call tomorrow and see if we can create a win-win situation here.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Bang. So the call went pretty good. He is interested in doing seller financing. He did have a mortgage, that small mortgage that we could potentially assume, and he would like to do that because our cash to him was only 15% down. So that would only really pay off his mortgage. So he really wouldn't get anything at closing. And obviously he wants some capital at closing. So we're gonna rework the numbers, taking over the small mortgage. It's gonna be a little bit tricky, but I know how to get it done. So make sure you subscribe so that way you get notified of the next video, and we're gonna go over the new underwriting for the counter he is proposing, and we're gonna see if the numbers work, what we can propose to him back, and see if we can create a win-win situation.